today we are talking to Chelsea Abril, wedding photographer and business coach. We're doing a little intro because since we're all friends, it was kind of a cackle fest. We go all over. We're pretty darty, and so we want to give a little insight into a little backstory about what we're going to talk about in this episode. Those of you who don't know Chelsea, she is originally from Hawaii and has really built her business, as she says in the episode, from vibes, which we have translated into intuition and following your heart. Yeah, it was really insightful hearing about her story and what brought her from growing up in Hawaii all the way to living in a high-rise condo in Seattle and just building her best life.
It was really fun to have her on, mainly because we're all such good friends, just sisters at this point in life. It was so fun to have her on and just tell her story about her dreams, all based on just following her intuition, which is something very innate in Chelsea. But also it was really funny trying to stay on topic because we all were just laugh and cackle about other things. So trying to stay on topic was a challenge. But yeah, so Chelsea and I moved here the same year, so 2017, and she moved here just a couple months after me, I believe. We became really good friends, and then through other mutual friends we met Lindsay, and so all of us have been friends for a really long time at this point. And we're all business owners. We've all been kind of each other's community throughout this entrepreneurial process. And this is when Lindsay used to live in Seattle as well. And then we lost her to Boise, but she's living her thriving life over there now. So yeah, it was just really fun to come together as friends. And it felt like the old days, and just to talk about career and upbringing and life here in Seattle. So we hope you really enjoy this episode where Chelsea kind of dives into what it means to her to follow her intuition and how it's gotten here so far.
And a quick heads up, we know we curse in every single episode. This one is particularly heavy on the F-bombs. And we do briefly touch on some shroom use, some hallucinogenic talk. So if you're not into that, then this is just fair warning.
Yeah. But if you are open to listening to some seriously candid girlfriend chats, this episode is for you.
Yes. Yes.
A look inside.
I'm like the devil and you're like the angel on the shoulder. I'm like, heads up, we talk about drugs and we curse a lot. And Liz is like, but yeah, be open-minded. Just come on in.
It's a balance. We're the yin to the yang.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Well, should we get into it?
Yeah. Please enjoy Chelsea Abril. Here we are with Chelsea Abril.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yes.
She's in the building.
This might be 2 hours of an episode, but we're going to need to seriously
earphone users,
keep it
beware.
tight. Keep it tight.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for doing this for us,
My
Charles.
pleasure.
I feel like people are going to get so much out of this episode because you are so many things.
Totes.
How does it feel sitting so close to one another?
I'm going to say, I could not be closer to her.
And we know now that I love that for me.
Yes.
This is the Scissor Me Timbers episode. Talking
How
all
can we
things
get
life
closer?
and joy.
Yes. How do we get our butts to become one? I don't know.
How to fuse your friendships physically. Perfect.
I love it.
Love
One
it.
day, Linz, we're going to do
I
an
wish I
episode
was
where
there.
you're here, and Chelsea can just come and hang out while we record, and we can all just touch butts.
Amazing.
Perfect.
I mean, yeah, I think that is a prerequisite of our podcast, is that we would just have to be all touching
Intermission.
butts the entire
Grab
time.
a booty.
We need to be fused
Grab a
together in a physical way. I love this.
Exactly.
Love it.
I know. How are you, Chels? Tell us everything.
I am so good. So you're an LA girlie. I just got back from LA and it was so much fun.
Oh my God, tell us.
It was.
What were you doing there?
So I went to shoot a wedding.
Okay.
It was this gorgeous lesbian couple. I've known them for years. They're both super, super witchy. They're also in the transformational, breakthrough coaching mystical space, which is amazing. So the wedding was super fun. They had a pole dance for their first dance.
Oh my God.
Love an LA
It was
wedding.
so great.
That is so LA.
Yes. We got ready at an Airbnb in Topanga. So bougie.
Oh my
they
God.
did. We were
Topanga's
late to the
beautiful.
ceremony because they're like, we really just want these photos to put on our walls and we really want to put up the photos of us in boudoir. I'm like, Bet.
Wow.
So we spent like an hour doing bridal boudoir before we left, and then ceremony was gorgeous. Everything was in Topanga. It was gorgeous.
Topanga's so beautiful.
It's so
Isn't
cute.
It's super cute. Yeah.
It's really precious and very like witchy and good.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was lovely. The wedding was great. And then later in the weekend, we had a wonderful mushroom journey. It was delightful.
What? Wait.
Is this allowed on your podcast?
No, not at all.
Yes.
But I want to know.
Yes, is what she meant. Yeah.
Tell me more.
It was so much fun. This podcast will air much later, so this is great. We, with the same party of people, so they also do like plant medicine healing. They like hold these circles, they facilitate them, or yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so we did that at the Airbnb. Like it was just really, really fun. We had hot girl soup. We just like all sat in a jacuzzi for most of the 8 hours that we were there and just like, watched stars and UFOs and whatever else we saw in the sky. It was really, really fun.
Oh my
But,
God, I love this.
dancing in this gorgeous Airbnb, just
yes.
living life. It was very
Eating
LA.
mushrooms.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
It was great.
Were
It was
you
really, really
like
fun.
high off your ass, or was it more of like a microdose? I'm just feeling so good type of thing.
I don't know anything about dosage, and I feel like my metabolism is weird, but I was tits up for a good portion
Hell
of the
yeah.
afternoon. It was
I
great.
love this for you,
It was
Chaz.
lovely. It was so much fun. Yeah. So it was really cool to do it there. And we, danced and laughed and sat in hot girl soup. And
Oh my God.
it was great.
I feel like it's not often that you're also participating in your clients' experience.
These
like,
clients
the
are
whole-
also my friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
I actually know one of the brides I've known her for like 12 years. So we were originally friends from the very first personal development seminar I ever went to. Segue, look at us into the main topic of the call. But I've known her for ages through personal growth and personal development, through this company that we both did everything that the company offered. And I started that when I was like in 2011. So I don't know how old I was, 19, 20 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just kind of all came full circle. She's like a transformational breakthrough. She calls herself an emotional ninja, which is just the cutest
That is so
title
cheeky
ever.
and
Isn't
adorable.
that great?
I love that.
And her wife is a pleasure priestess.
Wait.
Yes.
What?
These women are These are your next podcast guests. Can't wait to see them on your show.
Yeah, talk to me about your what is it?
Pleasure
pleasure
priestess.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's like pussy powered, everything, like all about full body. Yes, she's running a retreat next
Full
month. I think in
body,
Costa Rica.
yes.
It's amazing. Yeah, they're amazing people.
Aw,
So the wedding
I
was
love
awesome.
this.
And they're also like, it was different than just like eating side of the street shrooms from some random who's what's it versus like having a
Because we're all
someone
just
with
doing that on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
keeping it cash.
like on a Wednesday. No, I haven't partook
I have
since
not
I was like
partaked.
22. Anyway,
Wow.
so it's fun doing it 10 years later, like doing my mushrooms as an adult.
Wow.
Oh
Adult
my
mushrooms.
God.
This is
But
my
it was great.
favorite
It
story.
felt very
yeah.
like medicinal
I'm
and really fun.
Okay, I've never done recreational drugs in my life. I think like hallucinogenics.
This one was also interesting because I was expecting that too, but I didn't have any visuals, which I've had before.
Wow. That's what like makes me so scared to ever try anything.
So when you asked me about my dosage, I took the initial dose and it was great, and then I like took a little bit later, but I was like, I like what happened. I'm not trying to
and we're good.
rocket off to space tonight. So I kept it pretty chill.
Wait, speaking of rocketing to space,
Yes.
I'm going to keep her name anonymous, but if she's listening, love you. She had an experience. This was like many years ago. We went to Coachella. This was a long time ago, and she did mushrooms or something else, some hallucinogenic, and she was not having a very good trip. And she went to the bathroom at Coachella, which
And never came back.
mentally she's still there. Like I
Coachella. R.I.P.
Oh my God.
Fuck.
Well, as we all know, at a music festival, the bathrooms are usually porta potties.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and
gross, yeah.
I know. I
And she
will
rocketed
say
off to space.
at Coachella, like it's such a well-oiled machine at this point that like they're cleaning those bathrooms like by the hour. It's not this like I mean,
Amazing.
we don't love a porta potty ever, but it's not this like really disgusting thing. But she was like, well, I got to go to the bathroom. And so she like went into the porta potty, and because she was still tripping, she thought that it was going to skyrocket to space. She was sitting in there terrified and couldn't come out of the porta potty.
Oh, no.
And her boyfriend was like, what's happening? Thing. I know. She has not touched drugs since.
One
and I'm like,
trip,
this
man,
is why I
fucking
don't want to
ruin
do
your
it
time.
ever, because I know this will be my experience.
No. Well, with that attitude, Liz.
No, yeah. Well, okay, one. Yeah, I think you have to be like, as Chelsea said, with the right people who like know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, don't just like
Don't go to Coachella and get like some dirty like fanny pack mushrooms from
ew.
someone. Ew. Yuck.
yeah, no.
Mushroom.
And
Wind
also,
on 'em.
Chelsea made a good point with like metabolism and stuff with shrooms. Like the first time I ever took shrooms, I didn't feel a thing. And at that point, my metabolism was super slow and I was on antidepressants.
Okay.
And antidepressants
That
can
All kinds
mess
of things that
with
can happen. Yeah.
all the everything.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
Liz, I think you would have a
Disclaimer.
really good time. But no
You
pressure.
all say this to me. All of you have been saying this to me forever.
You just love
like,
a giggle moment.
Liz,
You
let's
can
go to
take
the
enough
woods
just to
and
be
eat
giggly.
mushrooms.
I
And
don't
I'm
want to go
like,
to the woods. That's not. Listen.
Yeah, I'm like, we're not taking
No.
Liz to the woods.
But
We
no,
can just
it's
be in your
take
living
me to the
room.
woods.
Everyone's
Oh
like,
my
I want to go
God.
have like this experience with like the plants, and I'm like,
no.
listen here, I want to dance. I don't
That's
really
what
want
I
to talk
want.
to
I
people.
just wanna
I don't want to
dance.
chat. I'm not trying to discuss the universe. I'm trying to fucking vibe.
Yeah, we're just here to
And
I
I
don't
feel
like being
euphoric
cold
vibing.
and on drugs. Like if I'm
Yeah.
cold,
I don't-
like things are not going to go
totally.
well.
I don't like being cold. Period.
I don't want to be cold ever. Again,
I know you all.
Says us.
I've
in
got
the
an
kingdom.
LA girl and a
Yeah.
Hawaii girl here. So
I can't.
I do like being chilly, but I don't like being cold. I feel like there's a difference.
And I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I will be asking you about this later. I have a question for you.
You could ask me now.
Okay, fine. I'm going to ask you right now.
Tell me.
Do you love living in Seattle?
Yes.
Pause.
Yes. Addendum. Addendum what?
Okay, but like,
Yes.
first of all, I don't want this to sound like I'm shitting on Seattle. I love living here. I love Seattle. But I want to
She
know
loves
your
it.
perspective. I love living here because I have you. And
I
I love
am your son.
you and Oliver are, that's it. No, I love living here because the community I have here is unmatched, and I love my cozy life here. That is for sure. But I wanted to know why you love living here, coming from Hawaii. But see, this is why I wanted to ask you this later, because I think we need to do some background on Chelsea.
Hi, my name's Chelsea. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I lived there until I was 20, and then I moved to LA. I actually lived in LA for like 10 months. I just stayed there, and then I got the fuck out. It wasn't for me. But you love living in LA. But I also see under different terms. I moved to LA.
Yeah.
I was paying rent like $465, I think was my exact rent.
Bless.
But,
whoa.
addendum,
okay.
I was sharing a studio loft apartment with 2 other people.
No.
And I slept in the living room with my head under like the bar counter.
No.
Cool.
Slumming
That's
it.
that's some 20s.
I was living on
That's-
Gailey Avenue, basically on the UCLA campus between 2 super gross frat houses.
also not
and I
the
moved there
area
not
for
as a
you.
student.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was
couldn't meet
not
anybody.
the area where you needed to be living.
The likelihood, the statistics of me having, like, should have gotten trafficked back then were high. Because I was just like, you know what, I'm in my yes era. I'm going to move here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in my yes era. I'm going to see what life has for me. I went on some extra sketchy dates with extra sketchy people.
God, dating.
I think I was
What a
stout
time.
enough that they couldn't just pick me up and run, so I was safe.
Oh my gosh, Chelsea.
You know? I was like, I have my feet firmly planted on this LA ground. Thank you. I would like to go home.
God.
I had to pay for my Jamba Juice once. We got there and he's like, I actually can't pay for this. I was like,
Wait. I mean,
A Jamba
Santa
Juice?
Monica Pier, Jamba Juice. Fast forward. I'm
Okay.
married now. He's nice. He pays for my things most of the time. He's a nice boy. Love
I mean,
him.
we're all for like female independence, but it is nice when a man treats you to a smoothie. You know what I mean? Like, that's nice.
I also had $7. I was like, yeah, let me spend my last $7
Yeah, you
on
had
a smoothie
$7
I
in
didn't
your
want.
bank account.
Yeah,
I
I was
know.
Oh my God.
broke as a joke when I was living in LA. I was flying home to Hawaii all the time to work to make money to pay my rent in
I
LA.
lived that life too at some point, and it's a rough time. It was a rough time.
Yeah. Anywho, so I live in Seattle now, but I am from Hawaii. I
What
moved
part
here.
of Hawaii?
I'm from the Big Island. I was born and raised there. We moved here a year after we got married in 2017, mostly after a panic attack.
Tell us more.
Yes.
I was like, I had built my photography business on fucking vibes alone. I had like
That's
no
why
systems.
you are just fascinating to me.
I love when people talk about systems and like
we literally just recorded
SEO and shit.
Yes, we
Amazing.
literally just recorded.
Go rewatch the last episode and then come vibe with me.
That is so okay, this is why I find you so fascinating, Charles, because truly it's rare for someone to be able to just like start a successful biz and keep being successful on fucking vibes.
Got a lot of vibes.
I know.
friend.
And I feel like that carries you. And Lindsay and I are over here like, we need systems, we need processes, we need to-do lists. I think it's personally sexy. But
I love looking at a flowchart. I'm like,
yeah.
Ooh, and then it goes that way.
Girl,
oh my God, and then it fucking splits.
We'll need to talk offline about this because Lindsay has changed my life about that. Anywho. Continue.
Anyway, yeah, just, so if you're a vibey girly, you can be madly successful on vibes.
Oh my gosh.
It's not vibes alone, but it's a lot of vibes. It's like vibe heavy success.
Okay, when you started your vibey business, it was wedding photography.
Yes,
right?
So I started, in my life, I have been a hostess, a bad virtual assistant, and a really shitty barista. And these have been my job titles.
What does it mean to start a business purely on vibes?
Excellent question.
And how did those vibes lead you to weddings?
What are the vibes?
Yes.
Yeah, what are the vibes?
So people are like, oh my God, like, did you always dream of doing this? And I'm like, it feels like so weird to say, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought for sure I was going to go to school, go to college, whatever. I was interested in photography. And as I did, my previous behavior, I put all of my eggs in one basket and I applied to Brooks Institute of Photography in Santa Barbara. I got in, I got accepted. They were like, I went to do the tour there. It was gorgeous. And they're like, we have a great financial aid plan for you. I was like, perfect. I have $4. They're like, we can give you $6,000 a semester.
And how much was tuition?
Like $100,000.
Okay.
I was like,
God. It's expensive. I wanted to go there too. And my parents were like,
and then they're like, oh, and by the way, if you ever change your mind or you don't finish, none of your credits transfer. And I was like,
aren't they not a thing anymore?
I don't know, actually.
I think they went under.
Get out of here. Okay.
They were like the thing though.
They were. Yeah. I wanted to go there too.
Yeah. I was really about that. Mm-hmm. And so then I had started doing some photography. Like my very first memories of doing photography were like self-portraits. Mm-hmm. Self-portraits. Mm-hmm. So I was a self-portrait girly for a while. I was a little square girl, pretty shy back in high school. And like, that was my coping mechanism. I would take pictures and write poetry. It was very tortured artist.
Gosh, that is so angsty of you.
So angsty. I was really attached to my tragic story.
I
went through some shit, but I was really attached to my tragic story for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so photos were started there. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll take pictures. I was in a photography class like in high school. And I was like, we'll take pictures of gravel and plants. And I eventually took my first senior portraits. Yes. So I took my friend's senior portraits for like $20 and I was like, wow.
Yes.
I'm rich, bitch. Let's fucking go. That's gas for a month.
I can buy my own Jamba Juice.
Literally, I can buy 3.
We're on our way to Jamba Juice. We're buying 10 smoothies.
And so I started there, and then it just kind of like another friend, and then another friend, and then someone asked if I would take pictures of their families, and I was like, oh sure, oh sure, oh sure. And so I started that business purely on vibes. I grew up in a small town.
Just because you have the best personality, and people were like,
I had to work really hard on that. I think I've always been a shiny little creature. But as far as being able to like function as a face or like a business owner, that was hard fought. That is so interesting to me.
Skill, Linz, because like, can you imagine Chelsea any other way?
No, and honestly, like that's my follow-up question is like, when did you realize that like, oh, I need to change, I guess, like what I'm putting out there in the world, and what were the steps that you took to get there?
I don't think I ever had that realization. I think it just slowly happened over time. I never really there wasn't really like let me go be different or let me go do whatever. I graduated in 2009 and I still went to college. I put all my eggs in the basket for Brooks, got denied, went to community college. That was embarrassing for me. And I was like, all right, well, let me just go to community college. And it ended up being like the greatest thing ever because I have no like student debt and I also wouldn't have probably ended up using any degree that I did get. I think I have enough credits for like 4 associate's degrees or something. Backstory, my dad started working for Hawaiian Airlines, and in order to get free flight benefits, I had to be a full-time student. So I got my first D's and F's in college because I was just there vibing. to be a full-time student and get my flight benefits.
Oh my gosh.
I had previously been like a high-achieving academia girly. I was really focused on my 4.0s and shit. But as far as growing into like adulthood and becoming a business owner, I didn't realize that I was running a business until like, and I was like 19 or 20. I was like, oh, well, people will keep paying me for this.
That is so interesting.
That's cool.
Like it happened so unintentionally for you.
It wasn't like, let me have a business plan.
Maybe that's what happens when you're like so young doing it.
Yeah.
Because like starting a business at 30 is different.
And I feel like back then there weren't courses, there was no educators out, there was no like follow this plan or like have a contract, do your taxes.
How many weddings did you shoot without contracts?
Oh, I don't know.
A lot.
I don't think a lot. I think by the time I ended up doing weddings, I was like far enough along that I had gotten a contract in place, but I'm pretty sure it was just like I'll be at your wedding. Sign here.
I promise to show up.
You'll get some pictures somehow,
great.
some way. Cool. Yeah, and then I shot my first wedding. I can't even remember what my first wedding was, but I think I charged like $300 for the day.
Perfect.
I fucking nailed it.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. It really just kind of all happened by accident. Like I started raising my prices. Like I remember being $25 an hour and then $50 an hour and then 75. And then I think I went up in like $25 increments until it kept going. Like it kept, then when I moved, I met Austin in 2012 and I was still traveling.
Your husband.
My husband.
For the people.
Austin is my husband. I was traveling from like 2009 to 2012. I was just kind of traveling. I was on my dad's benefits. I was just fucking off. I would come home to wash my clothes and do some photo shoots so that I could leave again with the money I earned from
I love this.
But I didn't have bills. Like I would eat on the I would eat on the planes. I would have friends to stay with because I'd met so many people through like personal growth and whatever. So I was traveling and I think I was still on my parents' film plan. So really the only bills I had were that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I met Austin and we decided I was like, oh, maybe I should live in somewhere again. I should maybe live on Oahu. So we moved back to Oahu together. And I was like, oh my God. That was my first real, like at 22, I think, was the first time I really had like adult bills to pay. And I was like, oh,
Isn't
I should probably.
Just the worst.
What if
like you wake up one day and you're like,
I'm sorry, I need $2,000 this month?
Yeah.
From where?
What a rude awakening that is. Like you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm an adult.
Would anyone like to pay my rent?
I don't approve. Okay.
And so that's when I was like, oh my God, okay. It's like I had a successful enough business. I think I'm like $20,000. I was like chilling at that, like not really having to worry about bills to pay. When I moved there, I was like, I have to actually make money. So I was on a different island and that was my first real experience of like, okay, like I need to start showing up. Like I need to start like, what is marketing? What does that mean? I didn't a blog from like 4 years ago. I didn't do any SEO. I didn't do any blogging. I built my business completely on social media and completely by word of mouth, completely on vibes. So I never did any of the technical things to build a business.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Which is so interesting.
Do you still run your business that way, do you feel? Or
I have some SEO. Like I hired someone to blog for me a couple years ago and she's fucking awesome. And then I was like, I actually don't want to build my photography business that much anymore. So I stopped doing that and I still get leads coming from those places. I just like focused on where I wanted to be getting SEO leads from. But I still really believe that I have like a very relational business model. I have a big enough personality these days that I do a good job. My clients have a great experience with me. The guests at the weddings have a great experience with me. Planners really enjoy me. I do like my artistry is pretty good. So overall, I'm able to like cultivate a strong enough relationship with people at every point in the process that it just kind of works out.
It sounds like this is how you're able to get clients.
Yes.
Because like
I have a lot of, like I would say before I did any SEO, like I have some coming from there now, so my percentages are different. But majority of my clients come from word of mouth referrals.
Yeah.
So like guests at the wedding, a bridesmaid, a friend, whomever. I didn't realize there were other ways to find clients except that way.
Yeah. And then throughout like the admin part of your business, do you feel like you've created like your own systems now and like a flow? Or are you still kind of like what works for you is just to like wing it?
I feel like it's a little bit of both. Like I have some foundational systems in place, but I also all the systems I do put in place, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, fuck that step. I don't actually want to do that step this time.
That is so on point for you. I love that.
I don't actually, that step's
I rebel
garbage.
against my own system.
Boo this step this time. And so I get myself into trouble that way, but that's, very on brand. I'm like, I know this is supposed to be automated in whatever days, or this is what, I don't want it. Fuck that email. That template is garbage today. Maybe
I'm
tomorrow.
going to cut this out of the episode because we just talked about how important automation was in the last episode.
Though. No, listen.
But Chelsea
she's
a unicorn. Shut the fuck up, Chelsea. This is the thing, though. This is why I think Chelsea's a good guest, because like it's important to know that is really important. And Chelsea's the exception to rules, though. Like she's just out here being a fucking unicorn and flying by the seat of her pants, and like it works
if
for
the
her.
vibes say to abandon the automation, then abandon the automation, you know?
Meanwhile, Lindsay's out here using ClickUp till the day we die, and like
this is okay. Listen, shut up.
No, you shut up.
You shut up. You shut up.
Oh my God.
So I love a system. And and this is, again, I have had systems in the past and I loved them for a while, and maybe this is my own self-sabotaging behavior, but I grow out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to grow out of them. Like I go through phases of having like, I'm fucking on it with my organization, with everything, my client management. I'm like on top of my game. I'm like, this is the fucking life. And then something will shift either energetically or in my business or my focus or the scope of things that I offer, and it stops working. And again, I'm sure that's a fucking choice. But knowing that my energy, like I'm not a diagnosed ADHD person. I have seen enough things that I feel very seen and validated by what I read about it and what I learned about ADHD and the way that my brain works, my brain functions. So I know that for me, a system works for a good long while and then it doesn't, and that's okay. I used to spend a lot of time, and maybe some of your people might vibe with this, is like, of course the system works. Of course I've had so much more time freedom, and like I'm not staying up at night, like, you know, worrying if I've sent an email when I have a system in place. So I love things for that. I also know that when I've tried to put myself into someone else's systems, or like I've hired people to build the system for me, and it just doesn't work. Like for whatever reason, I'm like, it just gives me the fucking ick. Like it's just incorrect. It's like fundamentally incorrect.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it, because it's like giving me big fat fucking ick. I'll sabotage other words. Like I'll stop posting. So I'm like, well, if someone inquires, they're gonna go to this fucking system that I hate with these other different things. Yeah. So it's just weird the way, and again, that's not a super supportive thing.
No, I mean,
but I know that that's how my behavior patterns.
Yeah. I just think that's so important to note, though, because like so many people can't be doing what you're doing, Chelsea, without having systems in place. And I think you're just a very specific personality.
I will certainly say that it's unsustainable, which is why I ended up in coaching, is because I was like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun for a while. I would rather melon ball my eyes out than continue as I have at this same level or whatever, right? I would rather chop off my left tit, give it to you. Here is your paperweight. No. So it's definitely like, and I would find that I work with people who have similar energetics to me, or like they encounter a lot of the same patterns as me. So whether they're neurodivergent or not, they have different patterns and they buck at different systems in different ways. And they've had similar experiences to me. Like it was working for a while and now it's just not, and I don't know why it's not. What the fuck? So instead of being like, stick to the system and just do it and just do it and just do it, like that.
Like not force it.
Yeah, not force it. Not just like cram it down. Look, this is the system that I said would work and I committed to. So what I end up doing with people is figuring out alternate systems. And a lot of times it's not necessarily the system, it's something else that's affected by the system, which may or may not make sense. But if it's energetically, if it's something in their other routines, their other behaviors that's impacted, it just like wrench in the system and it's not it. So we do a lot of like creative problem solving and figuring out how to find the flow that actually works. And especially, again, I don't know if this is specific to neurodivergent people or it's just something that I attract people who feel like this, but going through the seasons, either of their business or their life in general, the same systems from point A to point B don't always work in their point B to point C. And so our process is figuring out the most holistic, gentle, effective, like proactive way to keep the system running when things adjust or when things change. It's a really long-winded way. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense.
Toads. Exceptional. I have a hard time explaining it sometimes because not everybody has this experience, but the people who do, they're like, oh my God, yeah, my fucking spring me is not my summer me, or like my winter me, and I'm really struggling trying to be that person again in the framework that I set up because like, who's she?
Yeah. Well,
not me.
This is one of the questions I have for you though, because coming from the wedding world, you were running a full-time wedding photography business. When we met, you were like
balls deep.
You were so balls deep in it, traveling to Hawaii like
every other
month.
week.
Yeah, like twice a month, 3 times a month. I don't even know.
It was wild. I don't recommend that.
Oh my gosh. I remember one time sitting in your apartment and you were packing to go.
I got home
and you were like,
repacking.
You were like, I don't want to do it. And I was like, I don't know how you do it. Like,
it
this
looked
is so exhausting
so good on
to me.
social media.
Oh, for sure. But I know that you were like
social
struggling.
media Chelsea.
I was wild.
It was fucking awful.
But what made you like decide I don't want to shoot maybe as many weddings or weddings really at all anymore? I want to go into like business coaching, because that was I feel like you didn't even like say out loud, I'm going to do this. You were just like, by the way, I started a business coaching program.
Thank you for saying that. This is something that is fucking hilarious to me, is I cannot tease something to save my life. No. A surprise, hilarious.
It was 2020 that you did this?
You want me to keep something a secret for a little while and just fucking drop little breadcrumbs? No, here is the whole sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
It's a foot long.
No, I had no idea you were transitioning out of it. I had no idea that you were even thinking about it. And I think it was 2019?
It was 2019.
Yeah.
The end of 2019.
Well, because I was wanting to leave weddings as well. You wanted, I didn't know you were leaving weddings. You just were like, by the way, I'm starting a business coaching program. And I'm like, what? And then you just, I feel like overnight became successful. And so I want you to talk about what that decision was, like why you made that decision and how that was possible. Is it because you're just a fucking vibey woman?
And a part B to that question, what systems or routines have stuck for you, have been like a constant throughout shooting weddings, through the transition, and now that you are a successful business coach?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to be straight up and say fucking goose egg. None. Nothing has stuck.
Oh my gosh.
In true Chelsea fashion, I'm a new bitch. Like every other season, I'm like, let me adjust.
Wow.
So if there's one thing that has stuck, it has been my willingness, or like and it's difficult. Like it's much easier to just like get something that sticks and fucking stick with it. Go for it. This is the model. That hasn't ever been particularly true for me. So my routine that sticks in is like, okay, when I notice that things are becoming like ineffective, or they're not working for me, or they feel like they don't fit anymore, my job to keep a fucking business running is to figure out then how to fix it. Like, okay, if I don't want to actually do this anymore and it's not bringing me joy, if I'm going to Marie Kondo my business, what's replacing it? Like, I can't just throw shit out. Like, what's going to replace this system if I don't like that one? Or what's going to be the new thing? So if that's the one thing that sticks, is my willingness to keep evolving. And that was probably the thing that I had to learn. And part of why I think part of why I waited so long to get into the mentorship, like coaching, consulting space, is because I thought that I just had to be one thing. And I thought that I had to stick to one thing. And you guys, let me ask this question. Did you ever hear like, okay, well you're not a full-time photographer. You're not a real photographer until it's the only thing that you do.
Oh yeah. You're not a legitimate
Oh, you just like do it on the side. That's so cute. Like, how's your fun little hobby?
I got so many people at like networking events when they would ask me, like, that was the question.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, like, are you full-time? And if I said no, and if
You're
I
like,
said
oh, okay.
no, it was like you could see it on their face that they were writing me.
They're like, how do I get out of this conversation with this fucking amateur?
Yeah, I hated that too.
And I'm like, you have no idea who you're dealing with.
No, that definitely.
You don't know anything about me.
I know systems. I know automations, bitch. I'm going to do this. Yeah, it's just.
I'm going to automate in circles around you.
Yeah.
So silly.
So to lead into this is I had always thought that being a generalist was bad. And I've always been a generalist like my whole life. I have like a wide range of interests, of talents. Like I'm good at a lot of different things. And so my hardest thing to do was to choose one thing and stick with it. And so I like just doubled down on, I was like, well, if I'm going to be for real, then I have to be for real, and I have to burn all my other bridges, and I have to commit. And so I chose that, and it worked out great.
You chose photography.
Yeah. For a while. And it kept working great. And I kept loving it. I remember making 30 and then 60 and then 90 and then 100 and then 200. And I was like, this is amazing. And I also never stopped to like audit. Like I was so excited about the money that I wasn't like, oh, should I sleep ever?
I remember this version of you, and it was
I was getting after
a sight to see. I'm like,
and I was fucking thriving, like in the peak of it. I was living.
But all of us here were like, "Is Chelsea here this weekend?" No, she's been gone a month. She's not here till next month. Like, did you even live here? It was crazy. You were just like traveling all the time. It was inevitable not to be sustainable forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of vibes, we moved to Seattle on vibes. So speaking of that panic attack I mentioned 100 years ago, I had burnt myself out in 2016 because I was paying for my own wedding. Mm-hmm. Why I was shocked that a wedding was expensive is beyond me. Mm-hmm. I was still shocked. And so I was booking my ass off to pay for my own wedding. So I overbooked 2016 consciously.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was like, I'm going to be the only person that has a say in this wedding.
I'm tired of hearing about
I will
this.
therefore be paying for it.
I'm
and
tired
no one has
about
opinions.
It. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I'm a type A person until I say stuff like that. And then I'm like, oh yeah. One second.
And your wedding was so beautiful. I still love looking at those photos.
Shout out to Andrea Lindquist.
God bless Andrea Lindquist.
Treasure.
And that's how I originally saw you for the first time.
Making connections.
Yeah. Did you know this, Lindsay? So I obviously didn't live here yet. I lived in LA when she got married, and I obviously followed Andrea's work. And I was like, the surfboard bride wedding is so beautiful. She got photographed in front of all these surfboards, and that's how I always thought of her.
We got married in Hawaii. Yeah, and there was a surfboard wall that
Yes.
Iconic photo.
Yeah, and when I met you, I was like, why does she look so familiar? And then it like clicked for me.
I was fangirling over this. I was like, oh my God, that's the girl that works for Andrea. So.
Yeah, I was like,
it was love at first sight.
Oh my God. And for anyone who doesn't know what Chelsea's talking about, one of the reasons I moved here was because I was associate shooting for Andrea Lindquist. So that's how Chelsea knew me. And then when I moved here and we actually met in person, we made the connection. I made the connection that, she's the surfboard bride. This is crazy. and now we're like best friends. It's so crazy. Anyways, so wait.
I overbooked myself in 2016. Yes. We're back. Look at us.
We're back.
Full circle.
And we're back.
And I was having like a panic attack because I was like, look, we're in bed. We're crying. I loved where we lived, but there was a couple things like I was just working. I was working to exist, and I didn't have any vision. I didn't have any goals. And I was not having that. So we were like in bed. I was like having a panic attack. And I was like, babe, like, I don't mind working this hard. That's okay. But like, what the fuck are we working towards? Like, are we working towards anything? Is it always going to be like this? Like, is this just what I have to maintain? Because I can't do that. This is too much for me. I really wanted a cat, which now I have 3 cats. So I really am living my best fucking life. I wanted a cat, but we couldn't have a cat where we lived. And I was like, well, I don't know how we got on that either. But like, okay, well, if we get a cat, then we have to move. And if we move, we have to sign a lease. And if we sign a lease, that's like another year. Do you even want to be in Hawaii for another year? And my husband at the time, he was like, well, no. And I was like, okay, well, then where are we going? And he's like, well, I've actually looked at some schools, and there's one in Portland and there's one in Seattle. I was like, well, I prefer Seattle. And then we just kind of sat there, and it was December, and we were leaving to go to visit his family in Kansas. Is this for real? Like, let's stop in Seattle then on the way home. So we did. We toured his campus. We toured the building where we were going to get our apartment. We got our apartment I think we secured the lease by April. Like, we had to wait, to get it because we couldn't move till May. And that's how quickly we moved. Like, we had decided by the time we saw it, like, okay, great, let's start wrapping up Hawaii. I'm also done living here. Let's do something else. And we moved out of our apartment, I think by March. We were living in our friend's apartment for a month in April, and then we moved to Seattle in May, and we've been here ever since. So vibes alone.
Oh my gosh.
I had also overbooked myself. So I didn't really live in Seattle until like 2019.
Yeah, which is so wild.
I was mostly spending time in Hawaii. Like, I left my car there. I was there so much. It wasn't sustainable. And I really did love it. I did love that I got to travel. I got to see my family. I got to see my best friend's babies grow up. I got to see her pregnant. So there's a lot of great things about traveling. What I noticed that was like at the height of my career, my entrepreneurship photography career, when I was making the most money, everything else in my business had like completely fallen flat. So laser focused into running my business and maintaining that like my relationship was ass, my marriage, like I was having a really hard time maintaining any friendships. I was super stressed. My weight was all over the place. Like, I was breaking out. Like, it was just like, if you've ever seen, like, have you guys looked at the Wheel of Life before? Like, you can, rate the areas of your life. It's supposed to, like, if it's all real balanced, it'll be a circle and it looks like a, star in the middle when you draw the lines together. I was like Mount Everest on one side and everything else was nothing. I was like, I had no balance whatsoever. And that was going into 2019. And I was like, this can't be it. Like, I made my first $100,000 and I was like, okay, where's the serotonin, you bitch? Like, I thought this was supposed to be, now I'm supposed to feel good. I just have to do it again? Okay, well, all right, fine. I'll do it again. So I did it again. And then I, went to 200 and then above that. And I was like, I don't feel any fucking better with any of this money. Any of these things. Like, I feel just as shitty as I did, or just as accomplished. Like, there was no change either way. Like, none of this is an improvement. Like, we bought our dream apartment and all these really cool things happened, but emotionally, there was no more fulfillment in either direction. I was like, this can't be the fucking American dream. This can't be it. So there's got to be something else. And that's when people had started asking me about, people were asking me questions all the time, like in my DMs, and like, can you teach me this? Or can I ask you these questions? And I didn't feel like I could answer them because I was like, well, how am I supposed to tell people to fucking vibe? I don't know. I've been vibing.
Vibe it out.
That was before I knew that like there was anything even called like relational marketing or whatever. So I didn't really know how I had done it, except that I was doing it really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool. Fast forward, pandemic happens. I speak on stage a couple of times before the pandemic happens. Really, damper on all of us. I was like, all right, well, let's shift then. Photography was starting to get canceled. I had started coaching just before, which felt good. I was like, okay, well, at least I'm already doing this. Let me commit to it a little bit more. And about a couple months into the pandemic, I got referred to my coach, and I ended up getting chosen for like her really private teacher training. So like I apprenticed with her for like another year. But the transition into coaching felt natural to teach photographers photography stuff because I was like, I don't know, that's what I know. I feel like that's a natural transition for most photographers once we reach a certain level of information or expertise. And I realized very quickly, I was like, I do not want to be teaching people photography. I do not want to be teaching technical stuff about photography. This was not my dream to be a photographer. I love it. I love that it's in a vehicle. So whether you vibe like me or you vibe like Liz or you vibe like Lindsay, there is a way to create like a really cool holistic environment with rituals and systems and seasonality in a way that gets to support who you are, what you want, how you want to, experience your life in like a really fucking cool, juicy way. And so what I love, like I usually end up working with my clients in the long term. Like the longest client I have right now, I've been with her for like 3 years. But I've been working with her for the long term. And even that is really cool. So talking about like seasonality, like the person we are when we start one thing isn't often the person that we are at chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But so much tells us like, okay, but keep doing that. That was my experience, like in the depths of like the very Chads and fucking Brads and toxic hustle culture was like, this is the way. This is the 10-step program. Don't deviate. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do this or you're a piece of shit. Sleep when you're dead. And I was like, yeah, feed it to me. I'm in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm ready to contort myself. You must be right. You must be right. And now I'm like, shut the fuck up over there. I don't want to do it that way. And I'm going to figure out a way that works instead. So that's what's been really exciting for me is like, I like my life now. I like myself more. I've had more room, I feel like, to experience and explore. So a lot of the times I'm working with people who have like not necessarily peaked, but they feel like they're at the peak of their experience and their current reality with their business. And they're like, okay, I'm either ready for something new just because I'm ready for something new entirely, or I want to expand. So people who are pivoting or expanding or just like exploring what it means to be more of themselves in their most successful lives and like deciding what that looks like and deciding how you add it in and how you like fucking paint a new canvas or whatever metaphor you want to use. But that's been really fun too, is because I used to think that being a generalist was just like a cop out, and it like I for so long was told that I was lazy or that I just needed to focus or I just needed to like settle on one thing or like was I ever going to be successful? And now in my rage and in my defiance, I'm like, this is the best thing ever for me. I love being a generalist, even as a coach. Like I love that I have a vast pinnacle or whatever the word is, orb, a vibey area of knowledge. But I thought that I had to be an expert in all these different areas to be valuable to other people. And while expertise is the easiest thing to sell, I do this and I deliver this result. I found that I have so much more fulfillment for me and my clients experience a lot of fulfillment when we get to approach it as a whole. So what is success? Great. What does that mean in your business, in your relationships, in your hobbies? Like, how do we create this holistic picture so you have a balanced thing as you're growing? You're not just like suddenly, spending all this time climbing a mountain and you get to the top and you're like, this is the wrong, oh no, this is the wrong mountain. I have to go down now, or I have to fucking figure out how to get to the other ones. Shit. So I really enjoyed that. And like even going on my little mushroom trip, I was like, I don't actually want to go. I've spent so much of my life going so far in either direction, just like taking other people's medicine and being like, yep, let me be just like you. Let me do exactly what you said because you have something that I want and it looks like money and it looks like success and it looks like a really cool marriage or fucking purple hair or whatever, versus being like, I actually like being this like well-rounded center. So like example, working with Danielle, with my client who I've been working with forever, she was a photographer when we started. And then she went into other services offered, other like, I think she was a VA for a minute and she did some blogging. And then now she's like a super successful multiple six-figure blogger, like copywriting queen.
Is so wild.
It's so cool. And so again, just to buck the idea, like you don't have to be one thing. If you love being one thing, amazing. Let's explore how to be fucking exceptional and well-rounded in that one thing. If you are someone like me who has a lot of interest and is feeling maybe a little, what's the word? Trapped is a harsh word for it, but maybe feeling a little bit trapped in the life you've created and you're like, fuck, there's other things I like, or like, I like this and it's awesome, but this isn't what I want to be known for or to be doing or to be filling my time with for the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years. I think there's more for me and I want to have a life of more. Then let's explore that. Like, what does it mean then to pivot? Does it mean adding something on? Does it mean changing your life entirely? And how do we do that in a way that feels really good? That's kind of been my transition, is I knew that I like things. I'm a Taurus. My husband is a Taurus. We like our stuff. I love to buy shit.
I like my stuff.
I love retail therapy. I love living in our high-rise condo in downtown Seattle, and that shit's expensive. So I know that the life I live is a little bougie by my standards and does require money. So like, I love to make money. I love being rich. I love making lots of money and helping people make money. But I also like, I knew that I had made enough money before and it didn't solve the problem of me feeling shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Helping people have money and happiness and fulfillment is possible. Sounds like a big ask, but it's totally a thing. Promise. You can have this really cool, expansive self-expression and a bank account that matches.
And we love that.
And we fucking love that for us. Okay?
It reminds me of like throughout my career, like how many courses I've bought, like little one-off courses that are teaching, right?
Yes.
Like what you say, like a certain method that you have to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't experience like actual, like intentional business growth that felt right for me until I joined like a more fluid kind of open coaching program where it worked within what I was doing, taught a few systems, taught some things to help along the way, but it wasn't like a checklist that you had to follow or else you were going to fail.
Yeah.
So
that's what makes me fucking nuts is when people are like, this is the only way. I'm like, bitch, is it? No, it's not. Shut up.
Yeah. Let's chat.
Not true. There's so many different ways to like have the things that you love. Like my favorite example is luxury. So, like my version of luxury is different than your version is different than your version. Like the shit I spend thousands of dollars on is not what someone else spends thousands of dollars on, and vice versa. So like the way you get to experience your success or your business is super unique to you.
What do you feel fuels you more about? Because like, are you still shooting weddings at all? Just really minimally?
I'm doing like 6 to 10 a year, and that feels nice and chill for me.
Yeah.
Like I still want to be going back to Hawaii, which I could just take flights to go there, but I like going back and working there, and I like the professional relationships I have there. But yeah, I'm just kind of transitioning. I don't want to be doing 20, 30, 40 weddings a year anymore.
No, thank you.
Listen, my knees, hilarious. Yeah, right.
We've talked about our knees.
We have talked about our knees.
I am max 12 a year.
That's, yeah.
The max I ever did was 15, and I was so busy I thought I was going to drown.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did it, Chelsea.
So I feel like I'm still pretty evenly split. I feel like over time, photography may naturally phase out, but I do still feel like it's a really core creative outlet for me. Like I still enjoy it. I just don't want it to be the only food I eat forever.
Yeah.
I love variety. I get bored very quickly. And I know that about myself. So I've been taking less weddings. I've been doing more branding and portrait work. And I've loved how that's kind of fit in. So last year, my first slower year on purpose. And it was wild. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was actually really hard for me. I was more stressed than I thought I would be having a slow year. But what I got to experience on the other hand was like a normal life. I've been an entrepreneur like since I was 18, 16. I'm like, people just do stuff on the weekends?
That's what I kept trying to tell you. When
y'all are just out here, let me hang out on a Saturday
Lindsay,
at noon.
I would be telling Chelsea, I'm like,
what?
You know, you could just live here and then we could hang out.
But what do you do on the weekends? You're not on a plane? You're not
That's
shooting
what
a
I'm
wedding?
saying. Or like,
what do you do with yourself?
It's not in your nature to get like super down about this stuff, but you'd be like, oh, you guys, it looked like you were doing something really fun. I noticed, you're like, oh, I don't live here though. And I'm like, Chelsea, if you lived here, you could hang out with us.
The biggest turning point for me was not a desire for something different. It was this deep fucking resentment for what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
So I have an away from motivation. I was like, my ass is in this fire and I don't like being on fire. Yeah. Get me out of here.
And we really missed you.
Thanks. Yeah. I had so much resentment for missing out on my life. And I was like, no amount of money is actually worth it for me to be missing out on all these really cool things. Like, I was missing birthdays. I was missing like fucking core memory trips with friends. I was missing international travel. And I was like, this is such fucking horseshit. And I loved my clients and I loved everything they had, but I hated, and I have always bucked against this, not being able to have flexibility. In case you haven't caught onto my fucking vibe train, I like to be flexible, and being a wedding photographer in the way that I ran my business did not facilitate that.
It's not the most flexible job.
Especially when you're booking like almost a year and a half in advance sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. It's
I'm like, what do you mean you guys are planning a trip in 2 months? I needed to know 14 months ago.
Yeah. Or even when I got married, I was like, literally found myself revolving the date around when Chelsea was going to be here.
That is the kindest thing.
Well, I was like, you have to be at the wedding. And I got married in 2020, so it wasn't like I could invite a bunch of people anyways.
Yeah, we weren't traveling as much either, which was a little easier, but still, I was just still traveling.
Time, but I was like, are you going to even be here? Like, what's happening? Okay, wait.
But I really enjoyed.
Bring it back.
I've really enjoyed experiencing time like a normal fucking person.
This is what's bringing you joy from like what you're doing now.
I love having time.
Yeah, time is
I don't have babies. I have cats. My child-free life is fire. I know you guys are beautiful, perfect mothers.
Support the non-child life too.
The level of selfishness I get to express in a weekly time frame is so sacred to me. Like I got back into reading. I had time to read. I found that like what brings me joy is actually reintroducing hobbies that don't have monetary output or like value.
Yeah, totally.
I always, if I'm gonna like something, if I'm gonna spend any time doing it, like the really toxic era was like, well, does it make you money? Then why are we fucking bothering? I'm like, oh, I just want to go to yoga. I don't have to teach a yoga class to go to yoga and like yoga.
Enjoy yoga.
I don't have to go fucking audition for American Idol if I just want to enjoy singing. So just disengaging from that, but it has to be something. And I'm like, you can just like stuff. Amazing. I love going camping. We take our cats camping. It's fucking fire.
It's amazing.
I think it's the cutest thing ever.
We
take our 3 cats camping.
I can't. Let me tell everyone how this works. Chelsea brings her cats. I mean, we haven't gone camping since you got into the 3rd cat, but she has leashes for them. And then we get to the campsite and she tethers a rope or whatever.
They're out there just living their lives.
From a tree to like between 2 trees, she'll tether like a rope and then she'll connect the leashes to the rope so that her cats will just be able to like walk freely back and forth.
They love it. They mostly just sleep, but we love it. But
crazy.
I just, you were asking me like why, like if I love living in Seattle, and I fucking love living here.
That's wonderful. I love this for you. Please don't ever leave us.
I am a cozy girl, like in my heart. I love nothing more than being at home. Homebody. You want me to go out after 8?
There has never been
I shan't to be doing that.
Another homebody as homebody as Chelsea.
I love it.
How many times I have to trick her into leaving the house, or I have to
it's a miracle that I'm here on your couch right now.
I know.
We were talking about that before you arrived. We're like, is she actually? She's going to be here in person.
I was like, I 100% can guarantee that Chelsea wished we told her we're doing this over Zoom, but it's not going to happen.
I love being next to you.
Thank you.
Let me in your body. But I do like, and I think that with having time too, like actually experiencing time like a normal person, which is again, I'm so fucking passionate about that. I'm like, if you have no time for yourself, I don't care how much you love what you're doing, you're gonna burn out.
Preach. That is,
I don't care how much this is lighting you up right now.
Mm-hmm.
We still need to insert a day or two to balance your shit out. Yeah. It will catch up with you. Like, I love photography and I love like entrepreneurship, period. I have always loved running a business and running my own shit. I am a awful employee. So that's just burn that bridge for me.
Same.
Yeah, I can't be trusted. Do not hire me for employeeship, but hire me for everything else.
So funny.
But I had excluded everything else that I enjoyed. I had made that my like guiding star, and like
it's easy to just keep chasing that money.
We like focusing on your business and your personal growth and all these things are amazing, but if you do it so much to the exclusion of all else, anything in excess is not it. So I see a lot of times like people are just chasing their business success or just chasing their personal growth or just chasing their healing to the exclusion of everything else. And again, then you're just like ping-ponging back and forth, which that in itself is super exhausting. This generalist idea, like you can be in a lot of different areas in a way that flows, in a way that makes sense, in a way that lets you experience a more holistic lifestyle.
And this is why we all need to hire you
Totes.
as our business coach and life coach.
And people ask me that too. They're like, are you a business coach or a life coach? And I was like, I honestly don't think that they're separate.
Dang. Someone write that down.
If you're a solopreneur, like it's all intertwined. Like
it's so true. It is a lifestyle. Being an entrepreneur is a lifestyle. Well, no one knows what an entrepreneur does anyways. You know that meme that's going around? It's like, I'm a blank. No one knows what I do. Like, that's us. Like, I'm an entrepreneur and no one knows what I do.
And I realized, I'm like, what am I teaching? I'm like, I do a lot of like mindset stuff again, like, but I'm doing so many different things for my clients. But the main things that I feel like I work with are like this idea of like balance as a journey, not balance like as a destination. Like expansive self-expression in the whole. So like, okay, like let's not hyper focus on the one fucking thing, and having the clarity and the confidence to then do those things to live that life.
I feel like I want to light candles and like burn
take our top off.
Take my top off. I feel like I need to like get some Palo Santo out and like light. You know what I mean? You don't like the smell of it?
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
So disrespectful. What?
I don't like it either.
It's too tarry.
It's too much.
Blowing my mind. I have a candle that's Palo Santo in my bedroom.
Austin loves to burn Palo Santo. He'll come and like Palo Santo me. I'm like, maybe I'm a demon, but get that shit away from me.
Ladies, I love this, but we have
to be done. Wrap it.
I'm gonna wrap us up.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Tell everybody how they can find you.
On the internet. Everything I own that's always me is just my name. It's just Chelsea Abril. TikTok, Chelsea Abril. Instagram, Chelsea Abril.
We love that. Simplify.
I kept my maiden name, and that name shan't be changing. And so I am Chelsea Abril forever.
Okay, perfect.
It's like April, but with a B. I'm sure it's in the show notes. People will misspell it.
It will be in the show notes. We will be linking all
I'm so places. Grateful to know people like you guys who are also living this really cool sisterhood, girlhood, womanhood experience. And thank you for taking time for me.
Thank you for being our first guest ever.
I know, you're our first guest ever. We knew right away Chelsea's going to be the first person that we
God bless.
Knew. Yeah. We love you so much.
We love you. Thank you for having me. I loved being here. What a fucking honor.
Knowing you is a gift, Chelsea. Everyone needs a Chelsea in their life. It's a need, not a want. Perfect.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
You can find the show notes at thesecretlifeofpod.com/episodes.
We would love for you to follow us on Instagram at The Secret Life of Pod, where we share lots of updates and personal musings.
Please subscribe, rate, and review. We read all of your feedback, and it helps us grow.
If you have comments or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@thesecretlifeofpod.com.
Okay, bye!
Bye!